Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and welcome back everybody to a brand new video on the channel. Today, what we're going to be looking at is the 5 things that smart PUBG players do. So, these are not just going to be random tips and tricks. They're going to be 5 things that smart players have a general knowledge of and carry around with them to outsmart and outthink their enemies in every game. Now, before we go in depth about these 5 things, I have something to give back to you guys. I'm doing another giveaway, and these are going to be real-life PUBG energy drink cans, and they're kind of like a thermos mug that you can put whatever you like to drink in there, and they're super cool. So, I'm giving away 5 of these, and if you'd like to enter, the rules are insanely easy. First things first, all you need to do is make sure that you do leave a like up on the video. Second thing, if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and if you already are a sub, then that's taken care of. And then the final thing you need to do is let me know in the comment section, how smart of a player are you on a scale of 0 to 5? How many of these tips do you use in your game? And you all know the drill by now. Once you've done those things, you are entered into the giveaway, and good luck on this one as well. And if you haven't joined my Discord server, link is in the description. It is absolutely popping if you guys know some PUBG teammates and just to be able to discuss there. It's a great place. And also, one more thing I feel like I should mention here. I didn't know if I was going to bring this up, but I might as well and see if anybody's interested. But I'm actually going to be selling my PC, the one that I currently play PUBG on, the one that I'm editing this video on. Reason being, I want to get something a little bit more powerful, as I'm going to start live streaming this game soon, and it's going to make video editing and just my general workflow a lot easier. So if you want to check the description for the specifics and the internals of this PC that I'm selling, and you're interested in it, please contact me over on Twitter. It's on the screen right now and also up in the description. So if you're interested in buying, please contact me on there, and we will discuss further details. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, with that all being said, we can now finally get into the top 5 things that smart PUBG players do. Now, taking our number 5 spot for today is something that I like to call the S-dive. Now, you may have heard of this technique. It's called the S-dive. It is also referred to as the wave dive, I believe, as well. But essentially what this is, it's a technique when you're coming out of the plane to get on the ground faster, be ahead of the curve, no pun intended, to get in front of your enemies and land faster than everybody else, no matter where you are. Now, the technique to pull off this dive is pretty interesting. So as you can see in this game, my target is Picado, and I jump out a little bit earlier than everybody else anyways, and what I start doing is dive really far down to gain a lot of terminal velocity, and then I sort of level out to gain some distance towards my target, and then I repeat this about 2 to 3 times depending on how far I am out. And what this allows you to do is get that sheer speed of just falling straight down, but also getting the distance of the flat dive toward wherever you're going. And as you can see by here, I'm landing first before anybody else. This is how you get on the ground. You can save at least sometimes 5 to 7 seconds, which in a game like this is very crucial, especially going to a place like Picado or school or whatever sort of hot drop. If you have those very valuable seconds, then that could be enough to get you one gun and set up. Now, because this is a relatively brand new concept and not a lot of people are using this technique to dive, I would probably say practice on it right away, get used to it, as it is different and you might not get it every single time, or you might even be late if you screw it up. So it definitely has a skill gap to it, but once you can master this, you'll be landing first before anybody. It doesn't really work as well at super long distance places where you have to glide the whole time to get there, but it works really well for places that are medium to close range. Smart players who are able to nail down this technique quick are going to be devastating in lobbies. I'm telling you, in the recent experience of me being able to pull this off, I've gotten pretty good at it, and you can already tell how much of a difference it makes, and you will notice it right off the bat in hot drop games. So coming in at the number 4 spot is understanding how to rotate the final few circles. And I get a lot of people asking me questions about this. They're like, hey, I can make it to the top 15, top 10, but I can never really seem to get any farther than that. I always die. I can never get a win. What am I doing wrong? Chances are you're probably making a mistake about how to rotate that last final zone and take out the final players. Sometimes it honestly happens where you just get unlucky, the zone is really weird and you get screwed over, and you can't really do anything about it. Those games happen, and those are ones that you kind of just have to shrug off. But when you have the opportunity to make a play and the zone is relatively fair for everyone, this is where you have to take control. You need to have a confident play style, and say your zone looks something like this, where you have an uneven side, and that's typically how it goes. Your best bet is going to be to get on the thinnest side of the zone and clear that out from left to right or top to bottom. Sweep one area, clear everybody out, and the reason why you want to be on the thinner end is because the circle is going to move in a lot slower and it won't outrun you, depending on, if you're on the thicker side. But just simply being on the thin side of the zone isn't great in and of itself. I mean, it's good, but you also need to remember to actually sweep it and clear it out, as if you don't have that power position or somebody else is on the thin side of the zone as well, you're going to run into each other no matter what, and you might as well take them out while you do have the chance. This is something that smart players don't even have to consciously think about anymore, you know what I mean? It becomes instinct, it just becomes second nature of something that they do, and they would, wouldn't blink an eye otherwise. So my advice to you is that if you're struggling on these final few zones and you just can't seem to get that chicken dinner, get on the thinnest side of the zone possible for each brand new circle, sweep it out from left to right or top to bottom, whatever it looks like, and I can guarantee you that if you do it right, you're going to be winning a lot more. Now coming in at our number 3 spot is knowing the blue zone like the back of your hand. So PUBG has recently made a change around a month ago that altered the blue zone from what it used to be. So what I'm going to do is put a chart up on screen right now, and you guys can pause the video if you want to take a further look at this, because there's a lot on it, but this is before and after the patch, and what they've done is made the blue zone a little bit more deadly but move a little slower in terms of speed. So this is more in line with competitive rules, but when you're understanding the blue zone about how fast it is, how much meds that you currently have on your person, and how long you can stay out there to finish up gunfight, ultimately the more better decisions you're going to make, and you will survive longer, guaranteed. Now, a majority of players don't like being caught outside the zone for any reason whatsoever, and understandably so. It is kind of uncomfortable and awkward to fight out when you're taking small increments of damage, no matter how small they may be. It is a little weird sometimes, but it also is necessary for getting a large amount of kills, and if you just want to overall make better plays. A lot of smart players know that they can survive the first 2, maybe even 3 zones with relatively no effort. As long as they stay somewhat close and keep their health up, they're going to be just fine to play and actually fight outside the zone for as long as they want, as long as it doesn't get too late, you know what I mean? But also, on the other end of that coin, there is that time where you do need to get in the zone. What they've done with the most recent change is make the final few ones so devastating that you pretty much can't first aid med tank outside just so the other guy can't find you for a while. There used to be a thing where you could have, like, I don't know, 10 to 15 first aids and just sit outside the final few zones forever. It was actually wild. The same thing can be done with bandages on the lower circles, but still they've tried to get rid of that to increase the pace of the game and overall give it a more competitive feel, which I believe is a huge positive change. But understanding all the intricacies, the ins and outs of the blue zone does take a while, and especially when they change it themselves and we have to relearn everything, it is a skill in and of itself, and I recommend that you guys try to learn it as much as possible. A good way to practice this is have that chart that I showed you a little bit earlier near you while you're playing the game, and look at each circle when it changes and kind of make inferences about how long you can stay out there, when you need to get in based on your current med situation, and you'll find that you make so much better decisions when you just take a second to realize what you have. Now, coming in also at our number 2 spot is understanding everything about armor and making good decisions even in the heat of combat. So a brief rundown of this is that every single piece of equipment, whether that be a vest or a helmet, has both a durability score and a damage reduction score. And really what you need to know about this is that level 1 stuff is going to give you a 30% damage reduction, while level 2 will give you a 40% damage reduction, and then level 3 giving you a 55% damage reduction. Now, when it comes to vest, this is a little bit more complicated than helmets, as I will tell you guys right now that no matter the durability of your helmet, whether it's extremely damaged or it's fresh, always take the higher tier helmet, as even if your helmet ends up breaking from that shot because of its low durability, it's still going to grant you that damage reduction, which should save your life at least. So, and when it comes to vests, I'm going to tell you that honestly, the rule of thumb used to be back in the day is that if your vest was under half durability, then consider swapping out for a lower tier. But now they've added this new mechanic, which is like a flinch when you get in gunfights, and it shakes your aim around, and it does it increasingly when any piece of armor breaks, and it's kind of annoying. I'm not a big fan of it, but with that being said, I will tell you that maybe it's not a good idea to keep a higher tier vest even if it's damaged now. Maybe just swap to the lower tier if it's fresh. It's pretty much a decision that you're just going to have to make situationally, and I think smart players are really attuned to how they're going to call what armor they're going to take. Now, when it comes to, so for example, the final few zones, let's say you have a half damaged level 3 vest, and then there's also a fresh level 2 vest that you have the option to pick up, but there's only maybe 2 or 3 people left, and you think that you're only going to engage in maybe one more gunfight. And so if you can end the game with that, and you will have that 55% damage reduction the whole time, then there really is no reason to swap out to the level 2 where you have a higher risk of losing that gunfight. It gets a little complicated with every single game going on, and every situation is different, but that's why I think smart players are really good at being able to decide about what armor they should take and what's going to be beneficial for their game, whether it's late or just in the middle, what have you. But now coming in at our number 1 spot for today of things that smart PUBG players do is a technique that I've been recently introduced to and been using a lot. This is the technique known as screen shaking. Now you might be thinking to yourself, what even is this? This sounds like ridiculous, but I come from a zombies background. Like, I'm also a zombies player, and screen shaking in that game means something entirely different than it does in PUBG. In zombies, what this does is when you shake your screen, you buy yourself a little bit more wiggle room if you want to push yourself out of a tight corner, and you can save yourself in a lot of situations. But in PUBG, this is an entirely different thing. And the thing is, it almost feels like cheating when it's not. A lot of people also struggle with when they're being shot at from some distance, they cannot find the person very quickly, or they end up dying. They just can't see them at all. This happens a lot where you're being shot at, but you have no idea the direction or what angle it's coming from. But when you're doing this technique right now that I'm showing on screen, when you're doing this, you get a sort of 3D sense, or a sixth sense if you will, about understanding where the direction is. I don't really know another way to describe it other than your mind kind of builds the entire battlefield in your head and shows you where the person is. It's really weird, but I implore you guys to go and try this in your game. If you're being shot at from a distance and you just can't see the direction, try this and then see how quickly you spot them, or at least know where they are. It's something that I've picked up very recently, and I think I'm gonna continue to use it for as long as I play this game, so I highly encourage you guys to try that. And smart players, I think, are picking up on this technique as well. It isn't just me. I've seen some others do it as well, which is kind of encouraging, but I figured I'd let you guys know about it anyways. But that is gonna be the 5 things that smart PUBG players do, and I really hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and look how close we are to 100K. Literally less than 4,000. This is wild, and I just want to say a big thank you to you guys anyway for the support on the channel recently. It's been wild. And also, if you guys are curious about buying the PC that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, then make sure you contact me on Twitter and we will discuss it there. But anyways, that's going to be the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next live stream or the next video. Peace out.